Hello everyone, and welcome back to what is probably the final Pillars of Eternity. So, we probably should have done things in a different order than we did, because after Defiance Bay we probably should have started on the White March Part 1. But instead we went all the way over to Twin Elms, did all that stuff. And then basically all we had left to do was, well, the final. But instead of doing that, we decided we would go hill first. Probably should have did White March and then went hill. But this was like level 15 at least. This was like 16. But yeah, we probably should have did the White March before doing that. Would have made it an easier time. But yeah, also that scaling, I'm not sure if that's what made the Alpine Dragon so much harder, but the Alpine Dragon was harder than the last fight we did, with 2 dragons and a wizard.
Yes.
Problem though is we could actually control the dragons, made the fight so much easier, because this one's immune to confusion and charm, but not dominate. This was immune to confusion and dominate, but not charm. Then petrification. Petrification is a bit broken, because if it works on something, it petrifies an enemy. And the problem though is petrification makes an enemy's defenses drop a lot, which basically means those dragons are a lot easier. Well, there was 2 dragons and Scalebreaker. Or the fast Scalebreaker only works for 18 seconds, and the dragon's not going to die in 18 seconds. Yeah, there's 2 dragons. You can't really use that twice.
Well?
Anyway, what's up?
Many blessings, traveler.
It's been a long time since an outsider so fast as the barrel will take me across. I will. Take care of all you do that you not lose your footing. These bars have a fickle temper. And thus we went to the burial isle. Look at it. It looks all epic and like final-ish, and this is gonna be a thing. Epic conclusions. But the thing is, we out-leveled this area. By probably a good margin. So yeah.
This does look like Theos' kind of place.
Though, so we're going to be interrupted by
I remember when I was a girl,
ghosts.
and the missionaries came and told us about the gods. They said we could see them in the stars.
So remember that lore dump I mentioned? Yeah, time for that stuff.
I remember when I heard that, I snuck out at night and climbed the watchtower in the old fort because I wanted to see them better. That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't want us to be able to use it. Shame. There was history in that fort.
Yeah, there's a lot worse there too. Those missionaries are inquisitors now. Strange to think that the same people underneath. But I suppose you would know. This is your home as much as mine. You worry about? Yeah. It's been with you worse. Remind yourself of that. It's nice to have the reinforcement.
I miscalculated many things since this began. I'm relieved you weren't one of them. It's a good thing we didn't hang you. I always knew this path would have consequences, but I never wanted to see Kratom suffer on my behalf. I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army, that they have sent messengers to bargain with rulers from distant lands. Kratom is not built to withstand a siege. If war is coming, I should be doing what Theos is doing. I will need allies. Allies on a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
About Osionis?
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders, and their king has no love of the Inquisition's faith. I wonder, would he listen?
Alright, we need to give her spirits for, you know, so we can survive yeeting ourselves down the hole. But by the way, feral druids, because you know we need enemies.
Were they?
Okay, down to wait.
Hold your ground!
Cause yeah, we are.
That's it!
Spirits from resistance. Sure, we know we got like turn undead as a thing. Do you remember Baldur's Gate at high levels? Turn undead's just like, oh, you're lower undead. Just explode. Last Blade of the White Forge. Hey, what's this doing now? Remember that place we were at? Oh, that's silly. And it's not bad sword, I mean, speed and exceptional. Or not bad sword, just, yeah. I can't even see, I'd have to compel better, but meh. But I think we're good. Calling those editor needs to
Yes.
something, which means I probably should just send editor to go fight everything.
Hey.
Editor, congratulations, new job, you gotta go fight everything. No seeing things, ooh, torture, people being burnt alive.
What is it?
I know I'm probably not being as thorough as I could be.
Hey.
But it's one of those situations where does this loot really matter? What at the very end of the game?
As you wish.
You don't let him deal with that.
Yes.
I'm sure Eddie can handle. All he has to do is crit, after all. Well, he has to kill them over crit, doesn't he? Or he could not attack at all, that's... thing? Edder, attack. Jesus. There we go. There's the thing. Kill 20 melee enemies with that. Kill 100 enemies. Yeah, I don't think we have 100 enemies left. But at least he has immunity to frightened. Don't think we have enough enemies left, Edder. Shame about that. But once again, why does loot matter at this point in the game? Why does it matter at this point in the game? Questioning it, aren't you? Definitely question. Watch my frames are dropping a bit more. Huh, not sure why. Oh no, Will West. Swamp
That's embarrassing.
Hold your ground!
Oh my god, frame's so low.
That curses.
What the hell is going on? Computer? Nothing's draining. Don't think anyway. Not that low in space. Yeah, perhaps it's draining a chunk, but that's expected. PCD memory 2.p5x. The hell is that? That's draining a big chunk of my memory. Like, I don't even know what the hell that is. That's sus, though. PC Doctor for Windows. Draining all my memory, though. Like, okay. Problem is, it's not staying consistent enough for it to actually be closed. Huh. Damn, from affecting my system. Pissing me off. Okay, yeah. Should where Task Manager go? Task Manager. Task Manager, I need you to get rid of this thing. I don't know what the hell it's doing, but it's draining all the memory. So, in that thing. Like, literally, it's draining, like, probably over half my memory. Problem is, I ended it and just started back up. That's stupid. I'm gonna have to suspend the process. Alright. Is it calmed down now? Can I get back to what I was doing? Instead of my computer trying to self-destruct itself. Like, seriously. The fuck was that?
Well? Of course.
But you know, it's some Dell product on the thing. Cute. And the fact that it's just design, the fact that it could just do that and bang, we're just going to drain all your resources. Not cool. Not cool.
No prisoner!
That's embarrassing.
There's a low every time passes and I could really use that ability, so.
Of course.
Ooh, more souls. Souls for the Soul Forge. But I mean, that's not bad. Lore, perception, resolve, dexterity. Not bad for an in-game thing, but still. Filter through a door into a dim passage there, so musty. A filter through the collapse ceiling. Light filters through the collapse ceiling. Well, your pirate shelter plots that. Well, I'll pour it myself. We have a large stones are even. Dirt spills from the crest and treat the rock after the size boat rolls through from heavy ground. Ourself and trust to break away the massive pile creaks and grumbles. Finally, tumbling harmlessly away from you down the passage. Light bursts through the tunnel ahead, growing brighter as you continue to assume the passage, ending up on the stars of the burial isle.
I can hold. No prisoner!
Horrible thing.
Not even slowing it down!
So, why'd it come downhill? Oh, has a reason. Maybe this was just another alternative way up there, and we did from up there. Questioning it. Anyway, we finally found the pit. Our spirit thing.
Another turn, Inquisitor.
Thou said, or some unseen descendant standing beside a large crank.
I ask again, Jovara Ixensios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused?
He went for only steps right ahead of face stony. The creature restrains the only sound.
Do you confess to apostasy?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed. And where might we find this heretic?
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
No! Wait! Wait! I'm ready. I'm ready.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
Thou shouldst say parts of the creature and the scraping grind of a rusted gears echo to your mind as the apparitions fade away. Yay, more torture.
If this doesn't inspire faith in the gods, I don't know what will.
Enrico and Borg to work a statue that's painfully familiar. So, hey, that was a pit. Obviously we should jump in the pit, because, you know, best decisions, everyone. A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Wodoka. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so, you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but raises goose flesh along your arms. The wind carries a whisper, low and suppliant. As you look into the pit, souls go around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Well, let's yeet ourselves into the pit, everyone. Best decisions. You jump trusting in the promise of the gods and the power of the souls you bear to bear you safely down. The sudden drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can still feel that you are falling faster than you should. As it's flowing around you with strong chaos, you feel yourself drifting toward the wall. One of the walls falls that leave all kinds of marks. Well, I'm going to do a flip, directing yourself back to the center of the pit. Steer yourself in the safety of open space. You manage to spread your arms and legs into a net, staying in your position. In the way of your descent, you start to feel more comfortable. Notice that Sir Luke is still falling too fast. Sir Luke plummets, flaring at an out of control. You could attempt to rescue, but the speed ground is approaching fast. With feet of speed and agility to avoid entry. Die for your companion. Battle-flatted. The ground is rising fast, but you are faster. You snatch Sir Luke out of free falling into the cushion of guiding souls. You reach the core of the penance, millennia-old stone safely under your feet. Your party is considered high level for the content and at 4. If you like, the critical path can be changed to difficult to give you more of a challenge. You know what? Yeah. I'll choose that. Just cause we, you know, we do out level it. We might as well scale it up for the final content. I'll take that.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through, now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
So welcome to Act 4. Also, yeah,
what is it?
All those
well, that went better than I expected.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then.
Light, flame, and sound.
So anyway, here's the thing.
We'll keep to ourselves.
We could be thorough here. But I'm probably just gonna do this as carelessly and fast.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, seriously, shades of all things. I feel like I should be
Kill them all!
yeah, I feel like I should be a pit soldier. Spatchers. No, not even really worth looting at this point, but yeah. The pill tugs at your essence. Apart from the war itself moves through it. Thing is, I can't remember which way to go. Also, potential traps everywhere. I forget how to progress. Because no one said I could remember how to get to the final area. It's just, yeah. Don't forget how many sections there are.
Not even slowing it down!
That's it!
Yeah, I completely forgot how long this section is, though.
Of course.
Ow. Also, I want to remind you. Why does this matter? We're in the final section of the game. Loot. I forget if you could go back to, like, White March after this. Maybe that's why there's loot. And it's better just to be able to go back to things after this. Maybe that's the thing.
Of course.
Anyway, more armor.
Not even...
And especially making one final try.
Look there.
Well, there's actually succeeded with traps outside down the door. That would help. Hi, thing. Door. Oh, hey, you. Carbon rises above you, stone silent. His ridge layers of measuring stick with the passing of ages. It mirrors to you as a thick block of ice you perceive buried deep in its core, a dim flickering flame, all bright extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements as you approach. The flame seems to be steady and draws strength as the layers separating it from you melt away and you bathe in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade as though you had adjusted to it where it was. Your steps seeps into existence, and Eating the shade hovering above the moist prison floor, though aged as she appears somehow different to you now, a slight stoop to her carriage. Perhaps a trace of sunkenness in her eyes, there was a broad scar across her face. Fevers and warming where flames once laughed unhealed even in death.
Hello, old friend. The ages have been kind to you, I hope.
I don't even know what's going on.
You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face.
Apparently.
What is it that has brought you here?
Yeah, it seemed I have unfinished business, though.
I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you sought. Has it eluded you all this time?
I don't even know.
I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
He diverted them from the Sakura seats to empower Watergate, and to blame Animancy for the damage he's caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
I knew we when Flowers did. There's something I need to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
Tell me about that time I still can't let go of. I need to know what it is. Only time I see most of my life, more of you than Christian Flowers.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? Our times are proud for us to look at pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, isn't that a lot to take in? There's only one problem about that. You better make a very compelling argument, because I've been to Abaddon Scout and I've been inside a moon.
I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief.
So, what's your argument?
She's not serious.
No, I want to hear her argument.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
So, what?
They were conceived by Engwith, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Theos's people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwithans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
So basically, oh. So the reference basically made the gods that it says now. Basically what you're saying is there's no gods. But yet there are gods. Oh, that's the thing. Okay, so basically let's go from, like, say, Andre's point. She got rid of all evidence of the... She got rid of some of the Ingriffin stuff because she could have potentially linked to the fact that they were created, potentially. So yeah, throw a moon at. Hide that shit.
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others.
There were no gods.
For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine. The Anguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
Hang on, after I left over, Pure Griffins found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know.
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did.
So basically, if you think about it, though, if the gods were created, couldn't we just basically technically direct all these souls into ourself, and thus became a god ourselves? So I was like a divinity way, like say Divinity 2, just all the souls into ourselves to become a god ourselves, right? Why isn't that an option? That should be an option if you think about it.
Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Got to hard science. I thoughtful lingering each member of your company in turn, finding interest in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
That's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
There's so many mixed things of what you said. There's no gods, but there's gods. They created the gods, but so they're still technically gods. Even if the gods are technically created, they still technically exist, so they still technically aren't real. My mind hurts.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not.
I'm gonna smash my head into the screen.
What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts.
Endurance for it took down the sides of his face in streaming rivers, though he or a block of ice stand before a great pyre.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose It would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion.
You're the way always transcends eyes upon yourself. What if you can be assured of nothing? Then we endure. That's how I get much of a choice in the matter.
The wheel would seem to grant us little choice in the matter. Yet surely we are capable of more than mere endurance. Surely when the truth is laid bare to all, this suffering can truly be overcome. I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple. But somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
I don't think it makes much of a difference either way.
I often wonder that myself. If things had gone differently, if the world had taken my faith instead of the Anguithin's faith, would it truly be what I had envisioned?
Well, the thing is, so even if they're not gods, they still have power. Like, Andra threw a frickin' moon at the world. Explain that one. Explain the whole, she chucked a moon at the world. And Abaddon destroyed that moon, but took some of it into his face. Explain that. No? No, not gonna explain that?
I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures, and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
Yeah, the sneezes. The first time I entered our tracer serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
I don't bloody know, so pick one. I just did.
All these years thinking about it, I don't think I ever imagined you did it without cause. This
I know,
changes
I just did.
things.
I don't know.
Good. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because what? You know, because after everything you learned, you still were belief in a lie. This is a conclusion people reach once they know everything that my purpose has been a mistake. My opinion matters so much to you.
You were more than a friend. You were the only person I trusted. I always believed in your judgment. Never have I felt so confident in my beliefs as the day you arrived in my camp. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
Your options has always been misplaced. That's why you're here now.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know. Nor will an eternity of silent contemplation.
Well, at least you have a...
I will have only my guesses and suspicions. And that
well,
will
at
have
least
to
you
do.
have a pillar for all eternity.
And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
I see the world different now. I regret what I did. Yeah, sure.
You have always had my forgiveness, no matter your reason. There are circumstances behind that reason we all share. Knowing that, it is difficult to hold spite in one's heart. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Theos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know. In a matter of speaking, this is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woodica is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition. But time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then?
Yeah, they may because they want Theos destroyed. I know they're not dead.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Well, why don't you?
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life. But that trial was my one moment of certainty, even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right. The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
So where is this? I tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I don't find what I've seen, and you know what others have told me about. There's only one man who could tell you now, who knows it too certainly, and you should face him soon enough. I'll leave you to see for yourself. Make your own choice. Better for yourself that way, I think. I speak that. Speak no language now, but the world is fresh on the spirit. Okay. Do you know what I need for Theos?
I could not say for sure. But you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you.
But why has he done all
keeps
this?
Secrets better than he cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Woodica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Theos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Theos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods.
But
Woodica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
It's so contradictory. There's no gods, but there's gods. She could be the strongest god, but there's no god. Make up your mind, woman.
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
I need to go. You've been keeping me
Theos will not wait for you.
like 15
If you do not
minutes.
catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
Well, you could help me.
If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing.
It's fine. Wait a second. Well, okay. You define zero solution. You are slave to the gods, bound to the rules, stuck to the system. You continue to system prove the gods and men are over all of us. No spawn now, one that's always been interleaving of her essence with yours that streaming of perception, tied its wounds through, and you can feel major control for as though you were a shepherd. Well, what do you suggest? I could just integrate yourself, make you cease to exist. Then I'd be no different than the other souls the gods have broken this place. I don't wish to stop fighting them. I don't have the stat checks. Fine. Whatever.
It was good to see you again one last time, old friend. I thought I'd seen my last friendly face long ago. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Peace, yo. So true, the gods were shown that people have fought for thousands of years. Well, they're still technically gods. Just
what is it?
Constructed gods. In order to keep the peace of the world. In order to keep things in motion and all that. Cause you know. Problem knows now the whole party's confused because it's like I'll make a reference to like say Guild Wars, like the gods in that are sort of like they're powerful but yet not all that powerful. And the fact that hey, dragons technically were there before they were there. So yeah, that's a thing. The dragons are technically more powerful in a way. Yeah. It's like they're not completely powerful. There's something always more powerful. But they're probably the most powerful things we can imagine in this reality here. The problem though is when you say they're not real, you give belief to that they're not real. The problem though is there's also evidence that, hey, that was a giant frickin' skeleton. So yeah, sure. Oh yeah, that's not real. That skeleton though, totally made up. The moon that we were in, totally made up. Ugh. Makes my head hurt just thinking about. Ed, or what do you want to talk about?
Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
And people were still sorry they would have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
See?
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will. About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your God, you only get the one. Now, me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his God one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
Do you think he went to him because of what you said, Joe?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended. Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then.
Fair enough.
I still owe you one.
Hey, love.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
Yeah, people need something to believe in. The gods, however they came to be, have served that purpose.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking.
There won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate.
That will leave the Leaden Key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
Yeah.
Then let's face Theos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here?
Oh, where am I going? More traps? Probably more traps. Nope, more sewing things. So, to light the thing. Cast away the darkness. So, all over the bloody place. To light the area.
Full of surprises, aren't you?
We light our own path now, Watcher.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
What is it?
Was that, yeah, sure, diamonds. Why do I need diamonds? do I need those? Boots of speed? Why do I need those? Right now they're in my inventory. Because of these vessels of spirits. If they're spirits, just go to elite 1.
That's it! Gotcha!
Yeah, there's enough boots of speed that could equip the entire part. Hey, is that dragons? Dragons. 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 I click on you. Yeah. Oh, hey, I know it's like for me to poke one of these things. Cause that's what I need to do now. Oh, hi, Shadowdrake.
Yes.
That's for my friends.
Yeah.
Back where you came from!
So much for you.
Wait. There's a beast, I was going to say. Where is it? Spirit? Can I just banish the drake?
Ha-ha!
Of
We're
course.
gonna look at that. But oh well. So yeah, we just continue onwards. And onwards. Those traps, we're just gonna run into them. Well, what are you doing now? Hi. Shine the cow and say lane things and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be no vision. Shine by mist. We're going first bringing you on your feet. You imagine that as soon as you take a step, the soil will behind you erase all traces of passages that funk you. The mist before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You and the fog closes behind you. Continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time. You never see more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, raise a light cut through the haze. You find yourself facing a canyon wall. Jordan's head twitches as though a mosquito had flown into his ear. He swings upwards at the arrow of his staff. Something whizzes past you just as you turn. You catch a warm movement out of the mist. Fills the shape small round. You think you see over and over. They check out the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock faces the hollow of a cave. Fear steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes. Fear transformed him from male to female, from Moreland to Amora. Its bones lengthening and its fur eating into its flesh. Though each other remains conscious of the smooth, wireless face, the rushing shapes in the mist converge on the figure. They form a spinning cloud, and you realize that they are eyes.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher, a buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways. You unravel a thread, Watcher, one you have lost and discovered over generations, and following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
About? Okay, it's a strange monitoring sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next. You seek and search for your full obscures, and even your quest for answers to your past is only laid to another mystery, one grander still. Yeah, these matters you don't matter. I just want to keep my own soul from unraveling. Yes, you sought this goal, your fortune pursued another.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
Well, I did say that. Done from Galway and America and Abaddon, they can use them to fortify our souls in the drill word.
A mightier quarry for a more glorious battle. Yet the hunter takes the rack of antlers and the string of fangs for the memory of hunting the beast, tracking it through the wilds and grappling with it at last. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
You can consign the souls to the fate of some god's choosing. You found them. Now scatter them across existence. Their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again. New answers to new riddles. But what would that serve?
No end, Watcher. That
well, brings
is the
up an
purpose.
interesting perspective. We'll just scatter the ghosts to the souls to somewhere. So they're not really put back in the cycle. They're not really, you know, fixing the problem. They're just tossed somewhere. That's just the most. That's the most chaotic neutral thing possible. Just they're tossed somewhere. We don't even know where. Okay.
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery. That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Shadows of the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you with darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. Well, that's an option. Just, you know, toss them somewhere. We don't even know. So I could go that way, I could go back this way. Ah, do I want to jump over there, though? I don't see a reason why I want to jump over there. Let's go poke this thing with her face again. Let more souls go out. Clearing the darkness. And then we have to fight some more things.
Not even slowing it! No prison!
Hi, dragon. Sure.
That's it!
Nothing I can do.
I think more than wrong.
Not.
Back where you came from!
That's not very helpful.
Bring them!
Well, Drake, I should say. Problem is, it doesn't even leave a body from me.
Of course.
Is this where I'm going? This might be where I'm going. Maybe, potentially. I'm not entirely sure. I forgot how long Act 4 was. We're just sort of, you know, stumbling along. Like, there's a whole sections I haven't even explored in here, but it's like, we're at the final. I don't really feel like dicking around that much. I just feel like ending this now. Oh, this looks important. No, doesn't it? This looks important. Problem though is we have to go through this whole... high.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
Yeah.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this.
Also, all this crappy stuff to pick up. Ew.
If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
But there are other choices.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was.
What was it? I'm trying to remember. We did something recently. With the whole... was it tyranny? Was it tyranny? Something we did recently, well, basically, hey, it's having that whole moment, well, we get a retrospective where the voices all talk to us and we tell us things we've already heard. So, like, the end of Warcraft 3, the officer climbs the frozen throne and starts hearing all those voices. I think it was tyranny. Was it tyranny? Was it the Sinking City? I know we did something recently that was basically had a moment like this. And it's like, yeah, lots of games do this with the whole, you need to reflect on everything. for some reason. Anyway.
Osionis.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
So hey, we're here now. Well, we were here now. So hey, a giant one of these things. And there's the house. You come to a circle room, granted dome, this wall time of order, and trimmed a copper at the far end, a great pair of order pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, a shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depths. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. Face of the pair stands out, a look of concern faces you know to approach. Something you want to ask, and one question above all we're spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some mission from first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
So, the machine that is behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it. They are monuments to Woodica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day. That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people We are in a sanctum holy to Woodica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
You're shaking now. Having lost all patience with that. No, my patience, you have to know everything you believe, everything you've done for the gods. Take your life from me to the gods who end my suffering. Oh, there are no gods.
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
Control for bored, caught up rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness every day. Oh, no, gods.
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
Your rage shrinks to the image of an eye will your mind, monolithic cage with a dry blood of thousands. You do not ask your question again. Hi, Faust. What you doing here? So we're gonna have an epic fight?
How did you find it?
You did all the time. My dancer was a web.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
There's reason the guys ran in this.
Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
I'm being a lot to ask for someone with a mind of their own.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own?
Dream work?
You worshipped Aethys,
but now we know
did
he
you
doesn't.
not?
Edgar's confused.
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased.
Those were a beast and all.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain. 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiate's choices. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives. I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
Well, one of us is gonna die in this room. You may as well admit you lied to me before that.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
Commission wants to spread your faith for false faith within the trust, yet here you are committing your own.
The spread of our faith ended many such atrocities. I do what I must to ensure it continues to do so. The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
Yeah, nothing could justify these atrocities.
That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods, our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our god's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark. There is no false hope. Only hope for things that never come. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust. It is the least of all possible costs. Are you so dense as to think a faithless world would not be ridden with calamity? All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way. We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
Well, you better return to something impressive. Apparently he used lag.
Roark 10!
Okay, that's slightly impressive. Slightly. Slightly impressive. Immune to... resist dominate. Not immune to dominate, though. Shouldn't have had that. So, Thaus. He doesn't even resist it. He's just... yeah. He has he has resistances. He doesn't have immunity to it. Damage reduction 15. Oh, Buddy Boo, you are going to get wrecked so hard. What you got for me?
Moeth Ixtal.
Oh, now though immune to trauma, confuse, disease, dominate. Okay. But you're not immune to petrification.
Worth and rough!
Now, if it was just you, I would be totally soloing it myself. But since there was, you know, all this other stuff. I don't know what you're trying to do with that, but
That's for my friends!
Anyway, we need something. That was just, oh god, he's been dominated, bro, that's a thing. By the way, I just want you to remember something. It might not, yeah, I don't think it will work while he's in that form. Wait, what?
Enough of this.
There you go. Barry's doing something. I was talking about Hill. But I can't just turn him. I can't just turn him into a piggy. Unfortunate that.
What it?
I was like game punch. Wait, what
Is it?
Riff Uligna!
So to bring himself back. Cute. You know the problem though is, yeah, you're sort of in the way though. You need to move. Yeah. That might hurt me a bit.
Mow it down.
Lava!
Hold your breath!
I love that spell though. He's just getting smacked with a frickin' hammer. I think we need tentacles.
Aztec worth and lava! It's no use!
Smack. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh my god, yeah.
Hold your breath!
Yeah. That's pretty great. Dropping off wall.
Aye?
Riff! Lavaru beyond seek! Lavaru beyond seek!
Damn you, ain't I? Which basically means I should probably do this. Hi, those. What I got? Dropping over hammer on top of him? I think we dropping over hammer on top of him. That sounds fun.
That wood and raw. That's bear down.
Yeah,
Don't even.
Hammers on top of him. Bonus Jones's oh no dominated. That's unfortunate. I need you guys.
Love
my help. Yeah. Unfortunate that. I think I'm dead.
Lavaru beat.
Maybe beneficial if I had it.
That's not very helpful.
Can I turn him into a piggy? No, I can't turn him into a piggy. Sad. Can I pet? Can I just petrify him? Do that. That makes things so much easier. Oh, so seriously, why are you so dominated? Oh, I need revived. Seriously, you're gonna do this now?
Yes.
Oh, it's not desperate to confuse.
No!
Anyway. You know what to do. Where is it? Petrify again.
Artifact worth it.
You didn't get petrified this time. Try that again.
Artifact worth it.
Artifact worth and wrath. Breathe, Uli.
Oh, he knocked me out. But I'm brought back, so.
Dead on their feet.
And if we rest the body without hollow, the dense wrinkle shaped by the sun's shouldering of an eternal bird now smoothed across his color-drained face. So he remained still for the moment, defenseless. Sensuous, spinning defeat, it lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. But he should have picked a better one.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
So, with a deep breath he plunged into our soul. And where when Brackenbury had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of grip as you pass through them. Travel for a while, it seems like age is rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. As you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, spanning slowly at first and quickly as you nail. Come out in the room you're standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards the great order pillar in the machine, then cased it, thou stands at the machine. And you are one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at faces of shriveled old men and choked-cheeked little girls and mothers bouncing infants to quiet them forward, clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance, with tears in their eyes, gives you a small nod. Turn back towards the machine, your breast constricted beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, repelling yourself to sit. How alone on a journey without end, you close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. Take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant wings creak to life, building speed, sang arrays of carved draconic mouths that glow and sending tremors through the platforms beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the soaring machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Burnt tenders of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one, the tenders disappear, leaving ash and effigies where people once stood, made them disintegrate into great heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above the outer pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to go into the top of the all the arts converge, it grows, it pulses, and bulbous like some immense chrysalis. Suspended slow rotation as though being spun from the arcs of light. With the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs or no longer rotating so brightly it must shield your eyes from an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it is looking at you. Bow your head in acknowledgement, then look back to see it mirrored to the pillar like warm candle winds. The pillar flashes with a flash of light. First the sun itself and fades to darkness. The machine slows down to a bright hollow, and the last echo of its grand corpses past the chamber still, and you are alone. From outside, reality begins to bleed into the memory. You find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down at Thau's lifeless body. As it lasts as much as Thau's so an overwhelming fatigue that hinders an immediate escape, and makes upon approach manipulation. You feel as though you're just given to you some kind of hold over it, and you're able to do it as you please. We go return into the cycle. You remember that no man can hide the truth forever, and all you've done is with charity. You know what? What do I want to do to him? Yeah, this is fair. Everyone else forget him for your deeds, only justice. You shall escape judgment no longer. Bind him to this place.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy the cravings in my bones. But this is the stronger lesson, for his soul is already marked by his own.
Your thou soul still and subdued. Your transformation seems to empower your spirit. Your will seems you now a thick chain, and you wind your own thoughts, constricting all movement. The only impossible last means resistance. You call to mind the eternal prison, the vast empty cavern, and its cells of order, vacated by souls in it that you chose to betray themselves in order to escape an infinite abyss of hopeless self-reflection. You choose a vacant pill, pour your consciousness in it, create a perfect, inescapable, hollow with space for one. And now you give up that soul and bear it into the pill like some bodiless joke. Conjured by justice itself, you can feel its resistance now. The abject terror radiating from it, but your bondage will not be broken. When at last it's sealed away and you begin to recede back to your center, you could almost swear you hear a distant wordless cry for mercy. And still as it follows a single word echoes through your mind, a word that you spoke when you were one without an ancient memory. You realize it's the word that activates the machine. Well, I guess it's time to go in this, isn't it? Poof. Poof. Does he at least have loot?
If it makes you rest easier.
Can I at least rest first? Heal up? Yes, I can. I still can't loot him, though. Unfortunate.
As you wish.
But I guess we should probably talk before we touch the thing.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
Justice.
Not many can say that these days. Not in this country where they think the gods have abandoned them. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that? Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believing what they used to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of Durance nor of Margarin. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
And I love.
Astounding. I always knew the leaden key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now, you're in the middle of something even bigger. With a decision that will affect millions.
Yeah, fun times.
But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Theos had become to realize that.
Probably do what Wow said.
It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
Indeed. So, decision time, everyone. Decision time.
What is it? Hey.
So, As you approach the machine, the pathfinder foot suddenly changes to a copper road. Your experience feels just like this oriented around. We attempt to believe that the machine had sucked you into it and spotted you in the middle of nowhere. Some place over here in the rolling meadows and thick forest on either side of the road could be anywhere rearward. Shrill cackle turned into your head. Standing next to you is a malnourished man clad in threadbare loincloth and manacles. A tight body stripped of lash marks, and there were scarred pits where his nose and ears should be. Seems to stare sweating on wet filth. You know someone wandering down the road, but the figure's back at you. Scarred slave has your attention for now.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrit House, those preening soldiers with more taste for silk than steel, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response. And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
I've also heard that the gods aren't real, so do they really matter to me? They found this as a way of giving you new orders on behalf of his own master. In the breath of the Iron Manacles, it's amazing they can raise his bones in an arm, but he does and points to the person walking that way along the road.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
Wearing robes, tattered and singed, but fine nonetheless on her head as though of a broken crown. Continues walking a pace slow but determined.
Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Woodica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
So, why would she thank me after I did all this? Well, in a week without fruit his inaccuracy when he failed to anticipate you. Plan's force is worse than none at all. But you've proven resourceful, equal to the schemes of gods. Woodica has a long memory, Watcher, for both friends and foes. And she keeps her oath. I mean by favored. Assuming Woodica's blessing, she always has a place for mortals of particular merit. You hope now she will become the most powerful of all the gods, and you will be the one who made her so. Think of the lifetimes of rewards you would reap. Oh, what I wish is for the joy of pouring bloody shards of a broken crown from my staff when I finish with her trial. Then turns his flaming eyes at Ernst. So said your companion who's been banned by his own god. Do you really trust her to make alliances for you? What would mean the secrets of the gods stay hidden? Safely hidden, yes, from the violent overlords who would cease to feel punishment in the next life, from the heavy-handed masters who would answer to no one. The world needs some schemes, or social gifts so pure that you would snap the tenuous threads that bind society. That's my better overlord. As far as the god of slaves, what would he have left if the world were unchained from his mistress's lies? I was playing the alternative Watcher. Considers a pawn of the gods, or a partner of one. The Albert of the road, the figure stops. She turns her head just enough to look over her shoulder, her face smoke hid. A merciless eye peers at you from a cheek of her rippled scorched flesh. I'll consider it.
Yes, consider well the prosperous lives and the power that awaits you. I'm certain you'll choose well.
Below the horizon, plunges into momentary darkness. You come to your senses in front of the machine. Now, where was I? With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where the Thought once stood before his people long ago. As the music swells. You've seen this machine in others like in operation. You understand how it works. There's a device for directing souls. Water would be a simple matter to influence that direction. Though as big as the machine, it may be the last thing you ever do. Well, let's beat the command to activate the machine. There's a shrieking stone grinding against stone as the gold cards loosen and begin to turn. You have 5 moments before the soul to be sent into the order plane. It's for your only chance at redirecting them. So, how do we want to do this? We could do what Barrow said and just send them back into the cycle. Put them back in the wheel, and they just go back, get back, get back, get back, as normal. We could return the soul to the bodies they were intended for, make the Hollowborn crisis fit. We could destroy the souls completely, ending their resistance, which seems a dick move to do. We could make the living in Drywood stronger by strengthening them. We could allow the souls to pass through the vein to Wodika and make her even stronger, which seems like a bad thing to do, even though we might get blessed for it. Or we could just toss the souls to an unknown location. Just yeet. So, trying to think how I want to do this. Thing is, what sucks is there isn't a 7th option. There isn't a consume the souls for myself and make myself into a god. Why is that not an option? Like, seriously. That should be an option. But, technically, if I just strip the essence to existing souls true, that would also strengthen us, wouldn't it? Because we're technically here. We are existing souls currently in the drill world. So, yeah, I'm gonna uphold what I said I would do. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is genius. You find yourself trying to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. Free fall comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and the force is so great it feels as though they would tear you apart. In that moment you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction. Fade to white.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed,
yeah, I'm just going to sleep,
and sleep welcomed
now.
you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the essence gathered in Sun and Shadow was sent across Deerwood to meld with and galvanize the souls of its people. In the days that followed, Deerwoodans, confronting adversity and expecting to be at the mercy of their own weakness, instead found strength and the will to persevere. The aggrieved found themselves able to carry on after their losses. The desperate found new reasons to hope. And the new reasons to hope were many, for Widewind's legacy had come to an end after 15 years. Hollow births ceased in the Deerwood, and a country that only days ago had seemed on the brink of collapse was suddenly on the path to a recovery, a fitter, more resilient country in the preferred image of the god of the hunt. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Widewind's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodens took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. Abidon's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abidon's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Eir Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caeron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russet Wood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russet Wood. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all
we don't
Deerwood,
even have
people would
cannons.
journey from near and distant lands alike to
Cannons.
experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur.
Sure took some cannons.
After the death of the master below, a strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Ad-Nua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Ad-Nua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the Night Market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
Oh, did it? Did you notice how he suddenly got louder during the White March credits? Like, he got louder during that. Oh, so credits. Pillars of Eternity, everyone. I like how you speed that up. So yeah, developed by Obsidian. Published by Paradox. Stuff. People. Mirror's gonna spoil, isn't it? So maybe not the best time to go over stuff. Oh, I was gonna say we're gonna have an entire list of Kickstarters. We probably are. Oh, wasn't as long as I thought. There's a giant White March. There we go, that's what I was thinking. So how many Kickstarters we have? RPGcoders.net. Huh. What's his name in there, do I? Or maybe to meet the coders. Oh, maybe it's on the additional list. And then we get into the over Kickstarter backers. Oh god, there's so many. There's so many. That's just the A list. Yeah. Longer than the entire credits, by the way. Longer than the entire credits. Remember the 77,000? But yeah. We're gonna be here for a while, aren't we? I was looking for like a specific name, but yeah. There he is. There's the game. Knew he was in there somewhere. Anyway, back down to the scroll. And it just keeps going and going and going. There we go. Okay, so, summary of things. So I like Pillars of Eternity, because it's very, it tries to be Baldur's Gate, but yet better. And it's not, in a way it's not better than Baldur's Gate. Not much can be better than Baldur's Gate, for what that was. But it, for an isometric D&D style, but not D&D style game, it's really good. Like, really good. The plot, though, yeah. I'm not sure exactly how much I was following it. Because basically, so you had a soul awakened in you from way back in the past, and then you follow this whole plot to find this guy, only to find this guy and find out that was it really worth finding him? Well, the gods aren't real, yet he believes in the gods. He believes mostly in Wodaka. So his whole plan is to empower Wodaka, but yet he brings up this whole thing about following the other gods too. Doesn't make sense now, does it? Yet, then you meet What's-Her-Face, and she's like, hey, the gods aren't real, but yet there's gods. It's like, what? That doesn't make sense. Her statement contradicts itself. Even though we had clear evidence of that with the whole moon. Because we went into a moon. Andra tried to murder us by sending us into a moon. It was totally a thing that happened. Because, you know, they're not supposed to interfere directly. So having us go in there and deal with that, yeah. But yeah, I really like this game. Problem though is Pillars of Eternity 2. They kept basically most of the ideas, but then they changed them. They added a lot of different things and made things different and added a whole bunch more stuff. It's like you didn't really need to change it. It was fine as it was. You could have added a few things to it, sure. But the way they changed things, well, you'll see once we get started on it. Because there was like a whole system where basically you like you could buff your spells to be like 5 levels higher and stuff, and you can only do that with a certain amount of power levels, and yeah, it's a thing we'll get into when we do it. It's one of those things I don't really appreciate. It's like, it sounds good on paper, it's just I was fine with how things were in the first game. You don't need to change things for that. And then there's a turn-based mode we could do. I don't want to do turn-based. Like, it sounds good, you know, like Divinity and all that, but I came from Pillars of Eternity 1. Why am I going to do things differently in Pillars of Eternity 2? That makes me completely confused on what I was doing. On how mechanics should work if I go back to turn-based. But yeah. So ultimately I'd give this game probably a solid 9 out of 10. Because it's really good. I don't really have any flaws with it. It does what it's supposed to do. Except for the plot. The plot's a bit questionable, I guess you could say. But hey, we had, you know, I'm pretty sure I've done things in, you know, that order with after you finish with Defiance Bay, then go to White March instead of waiting until how long we had left, because yeah, congratulations, you beat White March. Here's a really good hammer. Like, that hammer you can't really make any better than that. I mean, it's mythic, it's not even legendary, it's something you can't even achieve. It's that great. Problem though is, yeah, not much to really use it on when we got though. Also, the Kraken Eyes makes your weapon legendary. Doesn't even compare to the hammer though, because it's mythic. But still, all that, and it's like, well, now what? We don't have nearly enough left to really put this into use. And those bog dragons, like, well, let's make our armor legendary, and it's like, oh yeah. Not very much left, but that one there you probably should save until the very end. The only problem though is it's at the very end, so what are you going to use that armor for? Because that wasn't really much of a threat. Like, compared to, you know, the Alpine Dragon. The Alpine Dragon was our hardest fight. I know, right? Our hardest fight was the Alpine Dragon. And it was just, I don't know, because of that sneak attack or something? Those over stats adding up? Because the Swamp Dragon, well, Bog Dragons weren't really that tough. I mean, we mind controlled like 2 of them, both of them, and had them fight and murder the wizard. And it simplified that fight pretty well. Petrify one, murder it, then the other one was left, and it's like, yeah. Makes it so much easier. But anyway. So next time, we'll go and yeah, we'll begin work on Pillars of Eternity 2. Or something else. But yeah. As for now, hope you all enjoyed. Thank you. Okay, so I sat down, read up on the internet to better revise my summary of the whole God's not real, God's real thing that they brought up at the end, though. The thing is, it's more of the gods aren't, you know, cosmic created gods, though. They were created by the Griffians. They're basically so, like, millions or so souls just tossed into a created construct that's basically the embodiment of basically like more of a demigod in a way. It's basically a bunch of souls all inside a construct, and that construct isn't driven, you know, completely batshit crazy. Well, supposedly not completely batshit crazy by the whole that many souls. Which is probably why we couldn't actually, you know, be turned into a god, because we took all those souls. We'd be probably losing it. Then I don't think we could house all that soul energy. Despite that, would have been a better ending in my opinion. It would have been sort of like, you know, divinity stuff. But yeah. Basically, in summary, they don't exist on the, you know, cosmic god scale. They exist on the, what would it be? What's the word I'm looking for? They were created as just a whole bunch of souls put into a construct. They're not like a single being ascended to that. They're just constructs that have more power than most people, and since they've ascended to that role, they exist outside or most of the realm of definition. Basically. If that makes any sense. But anyway, now that that's cleared up, next time, Pillars of Eternity 2.